Hey folks, I was given early access to 2 in-development versions of Silent Cartographer and Assault on the Control Room by Halo Studios for the Combat Evolved remake that's going to be releasing, oh god, next month. Oh, as well as the remix mode that randomizes enemy and weapon placement on the campaign levels, which leads to some interesting results. But I want to start with the menu.
Logging in. Screen tab list tab 1. Previous tab QP.
So yeah, it's the old Halo CE menu background with the ring and everything. It's also a pre-recorded video, not in 3D render, so it's actually really fast and responsive. The options menu also had a ton of stuff to tweak and customize. Hit markers could be turned on and off, the color of your crosshair when aiming at friendlies or enemies, the color of your motion tracker blips, its position on the screen, HUD hints and objective notifications, etc. could all be turned off. There was just a lot of stuff. Like Halo Infinite already had a lot of HUD customization, but this actually pushes it further. So yeah, if you looked at footage of the remake and you feel like there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of hand-holding going on the screen, you can actually turn off all of that and make it look relatively similar to the Bungie era games.
Banshee is down, Banshee is down.
Which I did for the purposes of this recording. There's also a lot of audio and graphics options for customizing as well. Like, the menu feels really organized and easy to navigate off the bat, and I'm really happy with the list of options available. Okay, so when you set up the campaign, there's the skulls that you can select, right? And skulls are awesome in Halo. They let you tweak and change the gameplay sort of like cheat codes. Campaign Evolved probably has the best selection of skulls in the series, though. There's a ton of classics, like the Grunt Birthday Party, Mythic, and you know. But there's also ones that are completely new, like one that gives the assault rifle 60 rounds per reload. There's another one that disables zooming on unscoped weapons, and there's also one that disables sprint. There's also one that blankets all levels in a nasty flood fog. There's one that gives you a third-person perspective. There's one that makes UNSC vehicles indestructible. There's even one that adds backpack reloading from Halo 1, and so on. So yeah, there's a ton of ways to tinker with the gameplay before you start your campaign, and honestly, there's a lot of ways to personalize it so that it feels a bit more like older Halo games, maybe that you're a fan of. And the cool thing is if you do enjoy things like sprint, zooming on all weapons and stuff like that, just keep those skulls off and you can have the more modernized gameplay. So the way that Halo Campaign Evolved works is that visuals are handled by Unreal Engine 5, while under the hood, the gameplay is handled by a modified version of the Halo Reach engine. And it does feel quite a lot like Halo Reach. Enemies all reuse Halo Reach animations and AI behaviors. Well, most enemies, but I'll get to that later. Vehicles feel quite a bit like their Reach counterparts, and even some weapons feel like their Reach counterparts, using similar balancing and even sound effects. Oh yeah, so the sound design, it's sort of all over the place. The good here is that they're using a lot of legacy sound effects. The assault rifle, I'm fairly certain, has its Combat Evolved anniversary sound mixed into the firing. The Needler 2 also sounds a lot like its older counterpart. Plasma weapons seem to have that original firing sound mixed in there, or at least one that's very similar. The Plasma Pistol's new hum sounds so good. The SMG even reuses its original firing sound, which is really awesome. So does the Brute Spiker. Even stuff I wasn't expecting to hear again, like the Wraith mortars or the active camo, are back for the remake. Maybe it's because I just did a video on Halo stock sound effects, but I feel almost like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, just like noticing all these little sounds that I didn't think they'd be including. But I did say it's sort of all over the place, and I think it's because something's off with the audio mixing, to be honest. Sometimes sounds wouldn't play if you switched a weapon too fast, or firing sounds would just bug out if I feathered the firing button in a weird or unpredictable way. Some sounds weren't synced up to their animations well, like the assault rifle's reload that plays the clip insertion sound a little bit too early. Sometimes footsteps or even reverb felt like they didn't quite match the environments they were in. The audio balancing would also sometimes drown out the music and character voices, which never really was a problem in the older Halo games, so I'm sure it's something that can be tightened up a little bit, especially coming off of a recent replay of Halo 1 and also Halo Infinite. This audio spectrum felt very unpolished and sort of messy. The Covenant use a mixture of Halo 3, Reach, and Halo CE sounds. Grunts all do their CE voice lines, while Jackals and Hunters reuse lines from Halo 3 and Reach. In the original Halo 1, the Elite spoke alien, but in this remake, they're all speaking English like Halo 2, which I'd imagine was done to make the transition to the inevitable Halo 2 remake we all know is coming a bit more seamless. If you like fighting the Covenant in Halo Reach, you know, these are the Reach Covenant. For their designs, since Campaign Evolved uses Halo Infinite's banished models, I was a bit worried that it would end up like Combat Evolved Anniversary from 2011, where the Reach models did not fit the animations of the original Halo CE, and they got all sort of fucked up as a result. I'm happy to report that the banished models actually work really well with the Reach animation set. The banished grunts look great with Reach animations. I love the way they sort of ran around in Halo Reach like they were on their tippy toes. They'd sort of hop from one foot to the other. The Hunters are also a lot more nimble and mobile. They'll stand up to their full height, do these little jogs over to you, and try to whack you with their shield. They'll sometimes get angry and flare up their spines like a giant hedgehog. They just seem to have more personality in combat, which makes fighting them a lot more fun. The Elite, it was a bit weird. Like, they look great 95% of the time, but then there's that weird 5% where their body stretches and distorts in odd ways to fit the Halo Reach animations. Okay, let me be a nitpicky Andy for a second. I spend a lot of time filming Halo characters for my videos. I'm very familiar with the way that Halo characters are animated and the way that they look from game to game. And as nice as the Halo Reach animations are, I think there are some areas where the original Halo Combat Evolved, or even Halo Infinite, were more expressive than Reach. As an example, in the original game in Halo Infinite, Jackals would just chill out if they weren't in combat. Reach didn't have an animation for that though, so they were always hunched over like they were in combat, regardless of context. And sure enough, here in the Halo CE remake, the Jackals always look like they're in combat. You won't ever see them just like hanging out, going on little walks in the woods, you know? The Elites in Reach also had less expressive patrol animations than the original Halo. They'd sort of beeline from spot to spot like a, I don't know, Roomba. Where in the original game, they'd walk slowly, they'd look at sleeping grunts, you know, they'd turn their heads, check some corners. They kind of walked around like they were the hot shit, and it made taking them by surprise really, really funny. And yeah, in Campaign Evolved, since they're just using those Reach animations, they come off as a lot more robotic. Hey guys, spoilers! In Halo Campaign Evolved, a remake of Halo 1, the Flood are gonna show up. So in this remake, they're using the Halo 3 animation set and behaviors for all the Flood, and it works really well here. You know, they'll do that moon bounce to get to you from Halo 3, they'll spray bullets everywhere if they have a weapon, the little infection forms that are just running around will try to infect and transform dead bodies or even living characters, and the tank form will do that funny gorilla run after you if it sees you. The tank forms don't transform, though, into different forms, kind of like that weird crab one, or the one that'll latch itself onto walls and then shoot spikes at you. They just sort of run around smashing stuff and spitting out infection forms. So maybe they're saving the transforming behaviors for the Halo 3 remake? Who knows? The Brutes are also going to be in the 3 prequel missions, but if you use a certain skull, you can get them to show up in some of the Combat Evolved missions. And they use their Halo 3 animations and behavior set while using Reach voice lines. And it comes together looking really nice. The model is based off of the Halo Infinite model, though it seems to be tweaked. You know, a little bit more hair, some new armor, bigger tusks and teeth. And they got these cool little rage devices that make them go into a berserk mode with all this electrical energy over them. It's really cool looking and really scary when they start chasing you. Alright. But what about the graphics? So hopefully you've seen by now that it's pretty looking. Halo Studios really took the criticisms of Halo Infinite's visual effects to heart, and they went all out trying to make up for it. Blowing stuff up feels really good in this game, like really, really, really good. Plasma effects also look really neat. I love the way that they kind of combined the more gooey, liquidy look of the plasma from Halo Infinite with the more electrical, lasery look from the Bungie games to kind of bring them all together and give the plasma and plasma weapons just this volatile feel, you know? Like you can see it burning and electrifying the air around it. The use of environmental effects is also really cool. In the snow levels, Covenant vehicle thrusters will kick up snow as you boost. There's sometimes low-hanging fog that reacts in real time and glows and responds to plasma shots that cut through them. It sort of feels like a Blur cutscene from Halo 2 Anniversary, but playable at times. Especially when you have all the fancy effects like motion blur and camera effects turned on, which I do, by the way. I think it looks neat. Hey, stop that. Stop that. It's just my opinion. Put that down. No, that's not yours. Get out of my house! The energy sword also looks neat, but I can't say I'm the biggest fan of the scan lines and sort of unstable look it has. I always kind of preferred the more electrical and solid look they were trying to go for in Halo 2 and 3. I also noticed that the energy sword as well as other various effects will react weirdly to the motion blur effect, and this also happens to the glow from plasma weapons as well. They'll have this weird smear as you look around the screen with them, which might be a good segue into that general Unreal Engine 5 look. The game is really pretty, like really, really pretty looking, but it's got this constant, slightly fuzzy and fizzy look to it, like someone spilled Sprite on the screen, you know? That fizzy look gets really bad in Forerunner environments because of all the reflections and ways that light reflects off of metal surfaces, because of the way that Unreal Engine 5's nanites or whatever just kind of materialize everything, you know? Even at max settings with the image reconstruction stuff turned off, I couldn't get rid of that just slightly fizzy look that a ton of Unreal Engine 5 games, and now Halo, have. Especially after how great games like Arc Raiders and the new Gears of War look, despite also being in Unreal Engine 5. I'm just a bit disappointed that the Combat Evolved remake has that memey, stock UE5 look to it with all the weird smeary upscaling and reconstruction techniques attached. I do feel like the new cutscenes are sort of either hit or miss. The new Silent Cartographer intro is sick as hell and does a really good job of establishing a D-Day-like raid on an island that the Covenant have locked down. The original level did something completely different. It let you experience the beach landing entirely from the first person. It's really just two different compelling ways to start the level. Assault on the control room, though, I think is just kind of top to bottom bad. The shot composition is weird and claustrophobic. Animations on grunts are rough as hell, man. The cutscene's also longer too, and it doesn't flow as well as the original. I feel like the original cutscene was just better shot, better paced, and weirdly enough, better animated, despite being, almost 3 decades ago. It's not the only lack of polish that I noticed in this build that we played. Like, animation quality seems to not just vary in the cutscenes, but also vary from gun to gun in a way that can sometimes be distracting. Some weapons look fine even if they're reusing Halo Infinite and Halo 5 animations, but the SMG, the shotgun, the spiker, they look genuinely unfinished. I don't know if these are how the weapons are supposed to look, like maybe these are just draft animations that they're planning to polish up before launch. The reason that maybe I'm thinking these are just drafts is that the battle rifle's reload has the magazine doing, that, which is clearly unfinished. So maybe these are just pre-release animations and further passes are currently being done prior to launch behind the scenes. The only reason I'm harping on this is, man, if this is what they're supposed to look like, those view model animation YouTube channels are gonna tear these apart, and I really don't want Halo to get that kind of flack. I don't want to end on a downer though, so let me tell you some gameplay stuff that changed from the last time I got to play that I find super positive. So sprint speed has been lowered after folk were just running past all the enemies in the build last year. It feels a lot closer to Halo Infinite sprint speed, which I think some folk are gonna like. Taking damage also knocks you out of sprint too, so you're not gonna be getting out of fights that easy. They also added back D-scope, so, combat feels a bit more dynamic. There's more reasons for me to reposition, fall back, or maybe advance with a closer range weapon if I keep getting suppressed by the Covenant. It feels really good, and I'm happy to see D-scope back. They also added seat switching to the Warthog by pressing the jump button. Since this is the Halo Reach engine though, there isn't an animation for seat switching, so even though it looks hilarious seeing Master Chief just kind of teleport between seats, it's actually super convenient to be able to just instantly stop the Warthog and begin shooting the Warthog turret before taking off again. And while the enemy AI did have a lot of pathfinding issues that I noticed, they did feel fun to fight in a way that reminded me a lot of Bungie-era Halo games, and maybe that's because this game is being built using the engine of a Bungie-era Halo game. So yeah, if you like Halo Reach and you like the way the Covenant feel to fight in Halo Reach, you're gonna like this. Alright, so those are my current thoughts on the CE remake so far. I really enjoyed my time with it. It's not really going to replace the original game, which is still one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time, and to be honest, I don't think anything could do that. And while I do think there's an alternate dimension out there somewhere in the multiverse where a Combat Evolved remake is made that's more faithful to the original game's art direction and aesthetic, I'm still keen to play through this one and see what it does differently and what creative choices are made, even if I would have maybe done things a little bit differently. It's just kind of nice to be playing Halo again, and actually have it be pretty fun, too.
But the Chief and I could use some assistance.
I'll take you all on!
Now that I got my thoughts out of the way, I know that the comment section is going to be very nice and respectful. Oh god, they're back!
He said he likes motion blur.
All gamers set their FOV to 230 and turn the graphics to
I'll give you something to motion blur about.